I'd say all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Um, gonna look at this video. Martial law, question mark. Jade Helm lists hostile US states. So this was published in on May 21st, 2015. Keep that in mind. Let's watch this quick.
U.S. military is planning an unprecedented training exercise this summer called Operation Jade Helm 15 across 7 states. And with polls showing trust in the government near record lows, that exercise has some Americans feeling uneasy. Jennifer Wishon brings us that story.
Have you heard of this military special operations command exercise called Jade Helm?
Speculation about why the military wants to train in American communities instead of military bases is fueling a growing number of theories across the internet and social media.
The government will take action when it thinks its authority is threatened.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has even asked his National Guard to monitor it. So what is Jade Helm 15? It's realistic military training taking place simultaneously in 7 states, from Southern California to Texas. Over 8 weeks, the nation's elite special forces will practice unconventional warfare by operating outside their normal support systems, adapting to new terrain, and working with civilians to gain their trust. When news of the operation broke, the phones inside Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert's office lit up.
At first, people were not sure what to think. Do we have to worry about martial law? Is our federal government coming in and going to practice imposing martial law on Texas?
A former Army captain, Gohmert says he understands the need for training, yet it bothers him that as part of the exercise, the military is labeling Texas, Utah, and Southern California as hostile.
This is actually taking areas of our home country, the United States, and saying, Texas is hostile, Utah is hostile, Southern California is hostile, and we got to take it back from the hostiles. I find that incredibly offensive.
And he thinks it's no coincidence that the Jade Helm 15 map looks an awful lot like the 2012 political map. So-called hostile states are colored red. The suspicion surrounding Jade Helm 15 is fueled by the fact that a vast majority of Americans simply don't trust the government, a level of mistrust that has peaked under the Obama administration, driven by what many believe to be violations of the Constitution and civil liberties. This is what Americans understand war looks like, but Cheryl Chumley, author of Police State USA, says Jade Helm 15 is introducing a new type of warfare, the master of the human domain.
What's going to happen is the special operations soldiers are going to be dressed in civilian clothes, driving civilian vehicles, and they're going to be tasked with striking up rapport with the local citizens.
It's a new strategy to root out terrorists since locals notice odd behavior first. In Jade Helm, citizens are part of the exercise.
Watch out, because that guy that strikes up a conversation with you at the local 7-Eleven, is he a Jade Helm 15 participant? You know, it's a psychological warfare that it kind of messes with your mind a little bit.
White House spokesman Josh Earnest says special forces moving about communities will wear armbands.
I feel confident in expressing to you without having a lot of detailed knowledge of the particular exercise.
Can't believe this, man.
Is that the civil liberties and constitutional rights of American citizens will be in no way affected by this exercise.
Despite conspiracy theories, Congressman Gohmert isn't worried that the U.S. military is going to issue martial law, but he's not happy with the president.
When my own commander-in-chief, through his subordinates, is just fine with, for games purposes, declaring an enemy of 2 or more of your states, I've got a real problem with that. That is one of the most insensitive, just outrageous things that a military commander could do.
Chumley urges Americans to always stay vigilant when it comes to the government.
What I love most about America is that our rights come from God, not government. And I think we need to hold fast to that principle.
Well, the hypocrisy in that is God wouldn't have thought it was okay for you to go on another people's land, move the measuring milestone of their grandfathers, basically oppressing a man in his own heritage, and then turning around and pretending as if you live by the laws of the Bible when you don't keep the Sabbath, you don't Sabbath the land, you have no righteous judgment. But yeah, right from God, yeah.
Once that's gone, then you just open the doors to more and more government encroachments.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
No, I don't want to see you, man. It's like even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. Proverbs 20:11. So you even know when a child is behaving appropriate. You know a good child by how he behaves, and you know a bad child by how he behaves. A good child is clean, courteous, respectful. A bad child is always causing problems, throwing tantrums, etc. You should be able to discern that this government is not a good government by their decrees and how they treat people, and by the fact that they just took away your rights in the space of what, a month, 2 months. But people still can't discern the times because, you know, people trust in oppression. Got Psalms 31:11 here. I was a reproach among all mine enemies, but especially among my neighbours, and a fear to mine acquaintance. They that did see me without fled from me. Psalm 31:11. So that video was in what, 2015, May 21st or something. And you know, these so-called conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists have been telling people that martial law was coming, and been telling people that, you know, the government doesn't have your best interests at heart, and people just scoffed at them and called them, you know, nutbags, crazy people, tinfoil hats and all of this stuff. And now all of this is manifesting right before people's eyes, and I'm seeing a lot more people saying those crazy conspiracy nuts were right, which is kind of a big insult to call them crazy when they're right. So are you basically saying that all the crazy people are the ones that are right? It's like, this is just a backwards world. You know, there's a saying, I don't know who said it, I don't know if it was Einstein, but he said crazy, no, I don't think it was Einstein, but it says crazy motherfuckers, no, smart motherfuckers sound like crazy motherfuckers to dumb motherfuckers. So all the people that were saying this, you know, were reproached to all the people, or approach among their neighbors. People didn't want to be around them because of tinfoil hats. They fled from them. Now you're going to be seeking those same people out because you knew, and you now know, that those people had a jump start on understanding how, you know, psychological warfare, especially if they understood that, plus the understanding of the Bible. You knew these people had, you know, had a clear idea that the government was going to do this, and now you feel stupid. That's 2 Esdras 15:17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So now you can't even move from one city to the next. It's not quite so bad, but that's what it is. They basically told you can't move from one city to the next. You can, but it's not really being enforced yet. They're just getting you used to the idea before they fully enforce these. Now in the UK, you can't travel on public transport unless you're a key worker, you know, NHS or food, that kind of stuff. So anybody else isn't supposed to be traveling, but you can still travel. But what's going to happen? They're going to say people aren't following these laws and these recommendations, so they're just going to lock it down. You know, they're slowly turning up the water, and people don't seem to understand what's going on. But some people do, because I saw a Jake the other day when I was walking by. He was talking to somebody else who was doing pizza delivery, and he said, "You wait till they tell you can't leave your house." And I said, "You know that, big man?" And he said, "Yeah, you know that." We just nodded to each other and kept it moving because we understand what's going on. Esau fully trusts his government because he trusts in oppression, because oppression's been working for him. You know, Ecclesiastes 12:10, oldie but goodie, doesn't need expounding on. Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is wickedness. So iron will rust, and your enemy will bear his fangs at you and will show you his wickedness. You know, Proverbs 22:16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. So these people have been oppressing the poor, stealing from the poor to give to the rich. And what's going to happen to them? They're going to run out of food. Their economy is going to collapse. Their society is going to implode upon themselves. And apologies if you heard that. and basically they're going to come to want. You know, they're going to wish for the day where they could leave the house and go to the supermarket. Like, people think this is bad. People are wilding out over how things are now and things ain't even that bad yet. So can you just imagine how people are going to be crumbling under the pressure? Because right now there's no real pressure. It's like the pressure's all in your mind. You know, I don't really want to talk about things that are hearsay, but you know, at the end of the day, things aren't as bad as they will be. You know, the famine hasn't even really started yet. And lastly, Proverbs 4:19. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. So these people just been wandering around in the dark, talking about, you know, they believe in God with their beardless faces, you know, eating abominable foods, talking about Jesus, I'm covered in Jesus' blood and all of this ridiculousness. And now all of this stuff is falling on their heads, but they don't know what's going on because they're just in darkness. And when you're walking around in the dark and you trip over something, you don't know what you tripped over. Just like these people don't know what went wrong because their ways are darkness. They live folly. They don't even understand their own society. So they don't even understand that the building blocks were set up for this. If you bump into something and you have any level of intelligence or righteousness in you, you're like, well, I bumped into something because there's no light. What I need to do is turn on the light. But, you know, when the men of the Lord were giving out the torches and giving out lights, people were like, nah. You know, people were reproaching them, not wanting to be near them. So, you know, you reap what you sow. And with that, I'd like to say all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai.